the table talking all night. Ben's got the cards, Sam's got the mic. They're shuffling stories left and right. But where's Monticello to tell tonight? Two fish swimming in the stream, talking poker hands and movie scenes, flipping chips and chasing dreams. Oh Nick, we need you on our team. Breaking down flops and TV plots, games they played and the hands they've lost. Sam says raise, Ben says call, with the MSO to settle it all. They laugh, they deal, they analyze, but with the guest it multiplies. Two fish swimming in the stream, talking poker hands and movie scenes, flipping chips and chasing dreams. We got rec poker on our team. They laugh, they deal, they analyze, but with the guest it multiplies. Two fish swimming in the stream, talking poker hands and movie scenes, flipping chips and chasing dreams. Oh Nick, we need you on our team. They laugh, they deal, they analyze, but with the guest it multiplies. They laugh, they deal, they analyze, but with the guest it multiplies. Two fish swimming in the stream, talking poker hands and movie scenes, flipping chips and chasing dreams. We got rec poker on our team. All our fans, we've got a seat for you, with your favorite snack and a fresh cold brew. Come join the chatter, come share the ride. Two fish plus one makes the perfect tide.
Welcome everybody to the latest episode of the Two Fish at the Table Poker Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, What's Been One on PokerStars.
And my other host, East Coast Sam. Welcome everybody to our end of year wrap up, but also sort of preview for 2026. Looking back on this year in the world of poker in terms of poker news, what happened during this year, as well as the stuff that we reviewed this year. Kind of just roll up our sleeves, informal, a little roundup on this already roll up our sleeves informal podcast. So, it'll be fun.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as far as 2025 was concerned, this was probably the most diverse sort of roster of topics and content that we've covered on this podcast here. I feel like as far as a multimedia prospect here, we had books, we had films, we had documentaries, we had rewatches, we had documentaries. I said that already. We had movies. We had a little bit of everything. Pretty much every episode, something new was happening, and so I thought it was appropriate to reflect and try to parcel out what worked, what didn't work, and what was our favorite and least favorite parts of this year.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this podcast for a couple years now, obviously over 100 episodes. So we haven't really had time to kind of like sit down and then look back on what we've done this year. And yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of different stuff happened. Obviously, in the poker world this year, I mean, even just within the main event of the World Series of Poker, so many different things happened, so many different storylines came together. So it's important to just take a moment to just look back on everything before forging ahead into 2026.
Yeah, I mean, just going through our entire year's roster here, we began with the Poker Book Club, which had also a Poker Book Club 2 episode. We covered the Mike Mantle documentary that I had a privilege to appear in for a few seconds. We talked about poker trading cards, other poker books here and there, the Mind Sport Olympiad of 2025, at least for me, our most exciting year so far of that. The Ultimate Stack, a very unique spin on a poker documentary that we did a live watch of that I think was pretty cool. We had Poker Criminals, which was poker casino, poker chip forgery, and then the horror film Poker Night, which we reviewed with our friend Void, who did our awesome logo for our podcast. We had the World Poker Tour coverage. We had the Celebrity Poker Showdown, some of the early days of poker TV. We talked about poker live streams. The 2025 roster of World Series of Poker headlines: The Big Beautiful Bill, Martin Cabrera's Antics, Will Kasub's Meltdown, Collusion in the Millionaire Maker. We did a rewatch of Game of Gold with Aaron Robertson. That was a lot of fun. And then we also had our impromptu interview with Rec Poker, both us interviewing Jim Reed and then Jim Reed and company interviewing us. That was really cool. Our Poker Sequels episode, where we reviewed Season 2 of the Big Game on tour, plus the Wii sequel to the GameCube game of World Series of Poker. And then we had just the episodic breakdown of the 2024 main event. So as you can tell from that long list, there are a lot of different things. Mixture of good, mixture of bad, mixture of in the middle here. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like everything in life, most things tend to be toward the middle, not too memorable. I'm a ghostwriter for a living. I've been a ghostwriter for 5 years now. So I was really looking forward to these books. And yeah, I mean, the books are just very again, for the most part, there's some enjoyable and interesting experiences in there, but then you get things like Kill Phil, which like just go all in if you have aces, go all in if you have kings. And I did do two little experiments with Kill Phil this year. In one tournament, I play. It was I think a 45 person sit and go playing Kill Phil, and I busted pretty early. And then another time, I actually got fourth place and made a deep run.
All right.
So
So
it can
there.
work, maybe. I don't know. This is again play money on Poker Stars. I would never actually spend real money on doing the kill fill method. But yeah, I mean, we talked about, one of the things that Ben and I sort of talked about in preparation for this is surprises for the year. And I'd say probably the most surprising piece of media was Jerry Yang's book for me. I really wasn't expecting it to be as interesting and profound as it was, but it was really interesting hearing his life story, hearing his childhood. I found that part to be really, really compelling. And then obviously his run in 2007 and hearing a bit of his insight on that. I really like that book a lot.
I would say, as far as the biggest surprises to me, I would say, firstly, appearing in Mike Madison's documentary was as far as a small moment, the biggest surprise for me. But I feel
Yeah, of
like for
course.
the podcast, the biggest surprise for me was just sort of the outcome of our random inquiries to people on Reddit for our
Mhm.
100th episode, getting an interviewee and it being Jim Reed and it going so well and it developing into us being on their podcast and playing in their poker home game. So that was probably the biggest kind of happenstance surprise. Whereas maybe the most surprising content that I enjoyed as much as I did would probably be the Ultimate Stack documentary, which covered one chip stack going from day one, level one of the tournament till the very end. I thought just how successful that film turned out to be was probably for me the biggest surprise as far as quality.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, when I said Jerry Yang's book, I meant like piece of media surprise. Like obviously hanging out with Jim, and you being in the Madison documentary and you doing so well in the Mind Sport Olympia. That was like incredible moments and like life experiences, if you will. I was talking about in terms of like the most surprising piece of media was Jerry Yang. Though I guess you could say you appearing in the Madison is kind of a media thing, but I'll frame that as like a life achievement or life moment, rather than like a piece of media. So.
Yeah. As far as on the other side of the things, as far as the most disappointing content we've covered, I probably have to give that title to the Big Game on Tour Season 2.
Mhm.
Mostly because it was a lot of boring poker. They didn't really learn from their mistakes of season one. I felt that there really was room to grow, that they could have made the show a lot more successful, even if, they had some questionable table players at the table that they could have swapped out for better players. And obviously there's still one third of that season to go that hasn't come out yet. But as far as me, the biggest letdown would be for that for me. How about you?
The biggest letdown for me would just be Poker Go in general, in terms of the Poker Masters and how they have the same tournament 6 times in a row and all that. I mean, looking at the schedule right now, I mean, obviously coming up, High Stakes Poker Season 15 is going to come out. Kevin Hart is apparently the headliner for it.
Okay.
So that could be kind of exciting. But yeah, I mean, these Poker Masters, these tournaments that are just, $5,000 no limit hold'em on Tuesday, $5,000 no limit hold'em on Wednesday, $5,000 no limit hold'em on Thursday, and then $5,000 mixed game on Friday before back on Monday, we're back to $5,000 no limit hold'em. I mean, I really think if they're going to be doing original content in tournaments like this, they need to change things up. I'd like to see a mixture of things. I'd like to see some low stakes tournaments, some high stakes tournaments. Just word to the wise out there in Poker Go universe. I don't hate Poker Go, but I just think it needs to spice things up a little bit.
And to your point, actually, last night was day one of the Super High Roll Bowler 10.
Mhm.
And I, kind of zoomed through, watched it in about half an hour today, just because I saw I didn't know it was airing, and they only had 16 players for that tournament, which just kind of feels like a kind of a joke. Like it's like Poker Stars has tournaments and sit and goes, and some of the sit and goes are like 9 players, 18 players, 45 players. So just to not even have enough for two full tables, like one of those sit and goes, just makes the tournament feel like it's really gone downhill. I mean, I'm not suggesting that it was this big like hundreds of players tournament before. I think when it first came out, it was like in the 40s or 50s as far as number of players, but to all the way down to 16 just makes you wonder why they even bother in the first place. It's kind of lost that shine. I mean, even the one drop had the same problem too.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to make things more exciting. It doesn't have to be a big, $1 million up prize. It would be fun to have like a $500 tournament in the Poker Go studio. It'd be fun to have Horse. It'd be fun to have Raz. It'd be fun to have Dealer's Choice. Spice things up a little bit and make the game exciting again. Whatever happened to High Stakes Duel, bring that back. Have some exciting players in High Stakes Duel. They just need to spice things up a bit moving forward.
Mhm. Another thing I wanted to mention is so as far as my favorite content we discussed on the podcast, not so much so surprising because I was surprised by the Ultimate Stack, but I wouldn't call it my favorite thing. So my probably the two things I would say would be the Dan Harrington poker book was
Mhm.
definitely the best read as far as the how to play poker, how to get better poker book. Just all the breakdown of all different scenarios and how to play certain hands in certain situations. I thought that was my favorite literature as far as poker books is concerned. And then just all the main event, day six, day seven with Kasuf. Just watching that live was so crazy and magical. Like I was just so, I was just, my mouth was open in shock the whole time. And when your emotions are engaged to that high a level, I can't deny that as the moniker for my favorite poker action of the year.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The Dan Harrington book, I think, holds up. I think it's a very good read. It's not a dry textbook. It feels like it has his voice in it, that he wrote it himself, has these personal anecdotes. So I really enjoyed that. And again, as a book reader, I always gravitate more toward books. But yeah, I mean, this year's main event was just crazy. Obviously, in the earlier days, we saw Cabral. I mean, probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in the World Series of Poker main event is when Cabral, I think it was on day two, like Cabral's got this like tournament director around his arm and he's like talking to the camera and it's this whole shtick to set up him going, not like that and plug his store. Like the fact that he would step away from the table and pretty much make it all about himself just to plug his store while the tournament director's like, Martin, like just keep your voice down. It's okay. Just kept saying that over and over again. Was really funny. But yeah, seeing Kasuf meltdown. I mean, how do you want to describe it? Lose his mind, go bonkers. I mean, however you want to call it, was just absolutely crazy. I mean, that he would get up out of his seat and circle around the table like a vulture. He would go over to the rail and be like stretching his legs, just very strange. And then obviously the final table was incredible. I mean, finally seeing Leo Margets make the final table, finally seeing a woman get there, seeing Kenny Hallett return to the final table, and then obviously Grinder's run was just incredible to see. I mean, that he went from less than three bigs, going to be out the door, to winning the main event, and also obviously winning the Poker Players Championship and getting into the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. I mean, that was absolutely incredible to witness.
And again, they had a successful multi-table stream set up on Poker Go that was absent all the technical glitches that the last couple of years had suffered through.
Hmm.
And I also want to give them props to we haven't really discussed it before, but the 2025 World Series in Paradise, the super main event, the 25K buy-in, very slick coverage. I liked how they could instantly change tables. It wasn't like they had to pan the whole camera over and then the cards don't always appear instantly. Like it was just very, very well done. I was watching for the most part day to day if the final t a future table had somebody I cared about, and for the most part there was, and so even though there was some controversy about, oh, how many buy-ins are you in, like how many bullets are you in, and I get that it's a different kind of tournament than the regular main event is. So I understand that people, feel the need to go 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 bullets in, even though they pretty much have to make the foul table to break even. It's still fun to watch, and I kind of hope that maybe they draw some inspiration from that setup for the Las Vegas iteration in years to come because that's a very good setup they have there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a little bit of the action at Paradise. I think they're doing a pretty good job. I like the setup. I like the graphics. Again, it's poker, people just sort of commentating over it. I heard a little bit of Martin Cabral commentating, and he's actually not that bad, I don't think. I'm
Well,
not saying he's the greatest of all time, but I think when he reins in his persona a little bit and he's a bit more serious, I think he can be at least an okay commentator. Certainly, better than other people who shall remain nameless.
well, at one point he was like, "Everybody, what's the best number in the chat?" Like, having people, and then he didn't even reveal what his answer would have been until he's, "Oh, you can go to my website and you can find out the answer." It's like, it's just, you just can't do that. It's so stupid.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
Beyond that, so I do want to speak to how, as far as poker for you and me personally is concerned, this was, in theory, the most successful year of poker of my life. I mean, I feel like the three main things was leveling up in Deuces and Seven triple draw, just, having much better results in that game than I ever would have imagined after my pretty lackluster performances in past Mindsport Olympiad events in that particular game. And then winning two, finally breaking my medal drought, getting third place overall and third place in the 8 game mix, and really, one or two cards away from getting at least silver in that event. Pretty incredible. I felt that I was definitely overdue, and it felt good to finally have some results. And then, of course, taking all that confidence and shuffling it into the rec poker game, and both of us, holding our own and doing very well. Even though you got fourth place, I thought that you played a pretty mistake-free game. And obviously, me, it just feels good to finally win something and to be like, even though it's not for money, it's good to have that. Playing against real people is always a good thing to get experience with.
Yeah, and you were first place in the standings for a pretty long time too, and unfortunately just didn't quite get there and get into first, but still finished third overall. And I thought you did very good throughout. You were making hands for sure, but you were also playing those hands well and doing a great job. And you did great job playing rec poker as well. Yeah, I mean, I think my skills are maybe slacking a little bit. I haven't played a whole lot of poker this year. After the Mind Sport Olympia, I don't think I even played an hour of poker for like 6 months. And then recently I played a little bit more, nothing to really brag home about or anything. Yeah, like okay overall. I mean, again, as I mentioned when we were sort of breaking down the Mind Sport Olympiad, my bluffs went through. So maybe I need to bluff a little bit more. Maybe I need to change my hand selection a little bit, open up my range a bit. Um, I felt like I had monsters under the bed syndrome. I felt I was too cautious playing my hands, folding a lot of second pairs and one pairs that might have been good, might have not been. I don't know. I'd like to just say, oh, it was just cards. I just had a bad run of cards, and I'm a great player, but I'm not saying that. We'll see. I mean, moving forward into the next MSO, they haven't actually released what the schedule is going to be for the 2026 MSO. I just checked, which is odd because normally it starts at the end of January and it's December 21st today. So I don't know when they're going to announce that. My work schedule is pretty swamped, so we'll see how many events I can play. I know I said that last year, but this year things are getting tighter, so we'll see how things go. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I'll just try my best. Maybe, open up my range a little bit more, bluff a little bit more, and not stay up until midnight like I did for rec poker and not just get tired and almost fall asleep in my seat. Luckily, the tournaments start earlier, so hopefully that won't be a problem.
Yeah, and again, it's not like I really. I mean, we joked about me playing in the tag team event with Adam. I feel like that's not really realistic in our future, the way things are shaping up, which is fine. I mean, again, I enjoy poker for the game it is, not for the money involved. So that's why, maybe other poker podcasts had somebody playing real cash, but it's really not something that I require in my life.
That's fair enough.
As far as looking ahead to 2026 more, so again, yes, my goal is to, let's get one more medal in 2026, prove it wasn't a fluke, and go from there. Or just get off to a good start and just accumulate those early points. Hopefully, they fix maybe the point structure a bit, maybe just make it rather than hopefully they have more than 7 events too. That was a noticeable decrease in the number of games compared to years past. One thing I'm hoping that because we're still kind of in limbo about is seeing the entirety of Chase the Dream season two be released so we can review it in totality, and also if they repost No Limit to YouTube because of the AI content controversy. I really think it'd be fun to do a documentary series battle and compare the two together.
Also, the big game on tour, have they released the third loose cannon yet? That's kind of weird that they haven't
Yeah.
done that. I wonder what's going on
I
there.
kind of think you could have had like start of summer, end of summer, middle of fall, or something for the release schedule for that. I wonder if maybe just the view counts drop, and maybe it's not going to be aired. I thought we were probably Tennis versus Gronk, and I am still eagerly awaiting that battle, and we have not gotten it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I have to wonder if they're just canceling it because the view counts weren't very good. But I mean, you filmed all of it. I mean, how much could it cost to kind of just edit it and throw it up on YouTube and hope for the best? I don't know. But yeah, that is kind of weird. I would like to review Chase the Dream, and No Limit. We'll just kind of keep our eye on that and see that play out. If push comes to shove and there's just Chase the Dream and No Limit or vice versa, we will review one of them. But it would be fun to kind of compare the two together.
Yes, especially since they're both kind of similar in that it's like probably 10-ish episodes, 8 to 10 episodes, I think, that are of comparable length. And so it could really be kind of be a fun little battle of comparing one by one, which one is building more momentum and is more, tight with its pacing and its focus. So that could be something kind of cool.
Mhm.
Something else that I'm hoping to do is to revisit the film 21 with Void, who actually enjoys that film, and we're kind of more mixed or to negative about that film. So it'd be kind of fun to have a debate where we are on opposite sides. 'Cause for the most part, me and Sam tend to agree on the majority of our takes on various programming, with maybe 1 or 2 point differentials as far as our scoring. And so it'd be kind of fun to have a different opinion like that to contrast with us.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate 21, but I didn't love it either. So I would go in with a clean slate, rewatch it again. Also, be fun to read the memoir and compare it, which we do have.
Yes, we do.
So at some point, we'll review the book, maybe in the same episode, maybe in a different episode.
Yeah, and again, speaking to, we had we had some fun guests. We had the big stockbroker, we had Aaron, we had Void, we had Jim, and I always like having an extra head to talk to and mix them. I think we did a pretty good job this past year of keeping things fresh and having different types of guests. So both and with Jim, we interviewed him, and but also reviewing something with somebody else versus just interviewing them about something. I think it's fun to have both of those in the equation.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's also nice to kind of expand with 21, a bit beyond just poker into sort of more gambling and casino stuff. Because there's obviously other gambling and casino. There's casino with Martin Scorsese, right? That we could kind of expand into. So it might be fun to kind of do something like that as well.
And then there's a film called I think The Haunted Casino that I think we also could review with Void because we
Mhm.
did a horror film last time to kind of see which one's worse, Poker Night or The Haunted Casino. A couple other things I hope that maybe we could review is there was a few televised episodes of the short-lived Epic Poker League,
Mhm.
which was a total not quite scam, but kind of a scam. So run by Annie Duke and company. So that would be kind of fun to see what little television was produced from that short-lived endeavor. And then there was also a movie I think called The Grand about poker that I think I found.
Mhm.
So again, there's I'm always looking up new things that are poker related in the movie world. So I think that could be another potential episode as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of shows I noticed. There's this show that aired on FX called Lucky. Have you heard of this, Ben?
I've not heard of it.
It's, I think, like a comedy drama. It stars, I think his name's like John Corbett. He was in My Big Fat
Oh
Greek
yeah, yeah,
Wedding.
yeah.
This sort of like gambler who's down on his luck, and it's a comedy drama. It got like one season on FX. I
Okay.
think it got like 13 episodes or something. Aired about the time that Tilt did. That I tried to find online. I actually was going to try to get it for you as a Christmas present. I unfortunately couldn't find like a DVD or something.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see sort of more scripted dramas than documentaries moving forward. Yeah, I'm not really sure how many others there are out there in terms of, again, like we could go to gambling and sort of poker adjacent stuff. But I think in terms of poker itself, I think we're, sort of out in terms of scripted dramas. And then reality shows, I'm always looking for Robin Amber against the odds.
Yeah.
It's like my white whale. I know that there are like lost media communities and subreddits for stuff. I should start, going on the subreddit Lost Me and be like, hey, does anybody know about Robin Amber against the odds? Does anybody have a copy of it? It's not going to be very good, but like I just kind of like to see like what was Rob Mariano doing with Daniel Negreanu? Like what was going on there in that chapter of his life? That'd be curious.
Yeah, and I do feel like maybe your best bet on that front is just to ask Boston Rob directly. Like we live near Boston, so I feel like there's some way to somehow meet him and figure that out. But who knows? And I have been gradually over the last few months been compiling a list of other television shows and movies that have poker scenes. We had a very fun episode a while back covering poker scenes in movies and TV, and I think about 10 on this list here of films or TV shows with poker scenes. The real challenge here is just finding those scenes in a early episode in a full state. I think most of these we could get, but nonetheless, I do feel like so. I'm talking about things like there was a poker player on Dragon's Den once, UK. JJ Hazan. That'd be kind of cool to break that down. There was also the scene in The Parent Trap where they play five-card draw. Lindsay Lohan plays against herself, and there was a scene in 30 Rock with poker in season one. And again, that's just a few examples here that I think could be another fun little. Again, we got banned from Reddit for the first time we did that. So I wonder who else we could be banned from next if we did it again.
Yeah, that was a fun episode. I really liked that one. And then we found a couple other sort of poker scenes from different shows and talked about it subsequently. If you have any suggestions for poker scenes, please let us know. I mean, I think like Star Trek has had poker scenes in it. I think all sorts of shows have had different scenes. So it'd be kind of fun to, I mean, again, no real poker action happens. You rarely, if ever, see what their cards are, and their cards don't make any sense. But it's always kind of fun to engage in that and then compare that to, what do you want to, I don't know, actual poker media is, I guess, the term you could use, where you actually see hand breakdowns and things. So that'd be fun.
And again, I was very optimistic with for 2026 as far as when they make a 2025 main event go. I'm very that could be a really good season. I feel like if they stick to what they improved on for 2024, I think we could have again another really solid production year for the World Series Poker main event.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they did a good job this year. I think, again, fleshing out the interviews a little bit more. Not, again, as good as the golden era, but again, a step in the right direction. Felt the production values were a bit sharper in certain places and other places, maybe not so much. So, I mean, hopefully, with all these storylines, with all these exciting characters, they can really hit home on it.
And again, I guess as far as my poker wish list for 2026, I know it's not happening, but if they somehow made Game of Gold Season 2, that'd be, I guess, kind of my, wish list. And I guess just, getting a magical flash drive with Robin Hood against the odds would be my other wish list there item.
Let's see, wish list items. You winning a bracelet, that'd be nice. Me winning a bracelet, Adam winning a bracelet, Aaron winning a bracelet, Jim winning a bracelet, everybody winning bracelets on our podcast. Something a bit more reasonable. I mean, just fun, good media that we can talk about. Good guests. I'm not expecting to get Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu, but just people who have spent time in poker and want to tell their stories, and we'll have you on. Can be 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however you want. We'll work it out. And just talk about this game and what it means for you. And then maybe I write a screenplay about poker and I sell it to Hollywood. Maybe that too. But just good content for this podcast and good content for y'all at home to listen to. That's my wish list.
And again, we're always open to any comments for suggestions for stuff to talk about next, or if you have any desire to be a special guest on an upcoming episode, we're totally down for that. And again, worst case scenario is just me and Sam, but we have so much fun doing this that we're not stopping. And we hope that you guys all you had a great 2025, you'll have a great 2026, and you'll stick around with us as we continue to cover every little nook and cranny of the poker world.
Yep. Happy winter solstice. Happy Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Happy holidays, everybody. And again, any suggestions, anything, just leave them in the comments. We read every single comment. We usually shout you out on the podcast too, so feel free to do that. And feel free to share this podcast with other people and let them know about this weird little nook and cranny of the poker world that Ben and I inhabit.
Exactly. Well said. Until next time, guys, enjoy your poker, enjoy your TV, enjoy your poker on TV.
Take care, everyone.